I want you to imagine something for a moment. A moment when everything around you feels slightly off. Maybe the people you know are just a little different, or events that never seemed possible suddenly happen. You brush it off, thinking it's just a coincidence. But what if it's not? What if you shifted into a parallel reality, into a version of life that's subtly yet profoundly different from the one you remember? The truth is, many of us move between these parallel realities without even realizing it. It's not like science fiction, where you wake up in a completely new world. It's much more subtle. And that's why today we're diving deep into the 5 spiritual signs that you've shifted to a parallel reality without realizing it. Now, why is this important? Because the moment you start recognizing these signs, you begin to take control over your reality. You stop being a passive player and start becoming the conscious creator of your life. So, let's dive in. The first sign is something you might have already experienced but never really questioned: the Mandela effect. Have you ever been absolutely certain that something in your past happened a certain way, only to discover that everyone else remembers it differently? Maybe it's a famous quote that you've always known to be a certain way, or an event in history that seems to have changed. This phenomenon is named after Nelson Mandela, because many people have clear memories of him dying in prison in the 1980s, even though he actually passed away in 2013. Now, psychologists might tell you this is just a trick of memory, but on a deeper spiritual level, it's actually a sign that you've shifted realities. When you experience the Mandela effect, it's almost like a glitch in the matrix, a moment where the boundaries between parallel realities blur, and you remember something from a different timeline.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
So, the question for you is, what are your Mandela moments? What memories do you have that don't seem to align with the current reality? These are more than just curiosities, they're clues that your consciousness has moved between realities. But let's move beyond memory. The second sign is even more personal: a sudden, inexplicable change in your relationships. Have you ever had a deep connection with someone, a friend, a family member, or a romantic partner, only to wake up one day and feel like they're a completely different person? Maybe they react to things in ways that seem foreign to you, or certain aspects of their personality have shifted. If you ever thought to yourself, "This isn't the person I used to know," you might have experienced a reality shift. What's happening here is that your frequency has shifted enough to move you into a parallel version of reality where that person's energy and role in your life are different. And this brings up a crucial point. When you shift realities, it's not just external events that change, it's the energy dynamics between you and the people around you. The relationships that felt aligned in one reality may no longer serve you in another. This is why, after a shift, some relationships may fall away or feel strained, while new people may come into your life who seem to resonate deeply with your new frequency. So, Here is the deep question for you. Are there people in your life who suddenly feel different? If so, don't dismiss it as just growing apart. Consider the possibility that you've shifted realities, and the version of them you're interacting with now is different from the one you knew before. Now, let's go even deeper, because the third sign is something that challenges the very fabric of your understanding of time: synchronicities. You know those moments when everything seems to line up perfectly, like the universe is speaking directly to you. Maybe you think of someone and they call you out of the blue, or you see repeating numbers 111, 223 everywhere you go. These aren't just random coincidences. They are signs from the universe that you've aligned with a new frequency, a new version of reality. When you shift into a parallel reality, synchronicities appear more frequently because you're operating in a higher state of awareness. You're in a version of reality where your intentions, thoughts, and emotions manifest more quickly. It's like the universe is confirming that you've stepped into a new timeline, and it's sending you signals to guide you on your path. But here's the thing. Synchronicities aren't just signs that you've shifted realities. They're also clues about how to navigate your new reality. Pay attention to them, because they're like breadcrumbs from your higher self, guiding you toward your highest potential. The more you notice and follow these synchronicities, the more you anchor yourself into this new parallel reality. Let me ask you, what synchronicities have you been experiencing lately? And more importantly, are you paying attention to them, or are you brushing them off as mere coincidences? Because the universe is always communicating with you. It's up to you to listen. The fourth sign is one that's often overlooked because it doesn't always come with fireworks or grand revelations. It's a deep sense of inner knowing. You can't explain why, but you just know that something has shifted. Maybe you wake up one day and feel like a different person, or you suddenly have clarity on a situation that used to confuse you. This is your intuition speaking to you, telling you that you've moved into a new reality. The thing about parallel realities is that they often operate on a deeper, more subtle level of consciousness. It's not always about external events. Sometimes it's about an inner transformation, a shift in your perception. When you experience this deep sense of knowing, trust it. Your intuition is always ahead of your logical mind, and it knows when you've stepped into a new version of reality, even if your conscious mind hasn't caught up yet. So, if you ever find yourself feeling like something is different, even if you can't put your finger on what it is, trust that feeling. It's your inner wisdom guiding you. Now, here's a profound question for you to reflect on. What do you deeply know to be true right now, even if you can't explain it? Because that inner knowing is the compass that will help you navigate your new reality. And finally, the fifth sign is something that might catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. Your desires and goals suddenly change. Have you ever been working toward a goal, something you were deeply passionate about, only to wake up one day and realize that it no longer excites you? Maybe you were chasing a certain career, relationship, or lifestyle, and now it feels like it belongs to someone else. This is a clear sign that you've shifted into a new reality where your soul's purpose has evolved. In parallel realities, each version of you is aligned with a different path, a different set of desires and experiences. When you shift realities, your soul's mission might change, and what once felt important no longer resonates. This is why it's so important to stay in tune with your inner guidance. If your goals and desires are changing, don't resist it. Trust that you've moved into a new reality where your soul is calling you to something greater, something more aligned with who you are now. The key here is to remain open and adaptable. Don't cling to the old version of yourself or the old timeline. Embrace the new and trust that this shift is leading you to a higher, more fulfilling path. So, let me ask you this. Are your desires evolving? If so, don't see it as a sign of failure or confusion. Recognize it as a powerful indication that you've shifted into a new reality where a greater version of yourself is emerging. Now that we've explored the 5 spiritual signs that you've shifted to a parallel reality, let's go deeper into how you can become aware of these subtle shifts and what it means to master the art of parallel consciousness. You see, these shifts aren't always dramatic or obvious. They're often so subtle that, unless you trained your awareness, they might pass by unnoticed. But once you train your awareness to recognize these shifts, you unlock a profound level of mastery over your reality. The first step to becoming aware of subtle shifts is to develop a heightened sense of presence. Most of us live our lives on autopilot, moving through our days without truly being present in the moment. When you're not present, you miss the subtle nuances of reality, the small changes in energy, the shifts in your surroundings, the way people's behaviors or responses seem slightly different. But when you're fully present, you start to notice these subtle cues. Presence allows you to see beyond the surface of what's happening and to perceive the energetic shifts that indicate you've moved into a new reality. So how do you cultivate this presence? It starts with something as simple as mindfulness. You may have heard this word before, but I want you to really understand its power. Mindfulness isn't just about sitting in meditation for 10 minutes a day. It's about living in a state of awareness. It's about bringing your full attention to whatever you're doing, whether it's drinking a cup of tea, having a conversation, or walking down the street. When you're mindful, you're not thinking about the past or the future. You're fully immersed in the now, and the present moment is where all the subtle shifts in reality take place. Here's a practical exercise you can start doing today. Pick one activity that you do every day. Something simple like brushing your teeth or eating breakfast, and commit to doing it mindfully. Pay attention to every detail, the sensations, the smells, the sounds, the textures. Notice how this practice of presence instantly makes you more attuned to your environment. Over time, this mindfulness will expand into other areas of your life, and you'll start to notice the subtle shifts in reality that were always there, waiting for you to see them. But presence is just the beginning. The next layer of awareness comes from observing your emotions and how they fluctuate as you move between realities. Emotions are a powerful indicator of where you are energetically. When you shift into a new reality, your emotional state often changes, sometimes dramatically, sometimes subtly. But here's the key: your emotions are not just reactions to what's happening around you, they're clues to your inner state and what reality you're aligned with. Have you ever noticed how, on some days, you feel a surge of joy or peace for no apparent reason? Or how, out of nowhere, you suddenly feel a sense of unease or discomfort, even though nothing has changed externally? These emotional shifts are often signals that you've moved into a new reality. When you start to pay attention to your emotions, and without judgment, you can use them as a compass to navigate the different realities you're shifting through. Now, let me ask you this. How often do you take the time to sit with your emotions and observe what they're trying to tell you? Most of us are so busy trying to fix or change our emotions that we miss the deeper message they carry. But once you start observing your emotions as energetic feedback, you'll begin to notice patterns. You'll see how certain emotional states correspond with certain realities, and you can use this awareness to consciously choose which reality you want to align with. And this brings us to a crucial point: choice. One of the most powerful aspects of mastering parallel consciousness is realizing that you have the ability to choose your reality. This isn't about controlling every aspect of your life or forcing things to happen. It's about recognizing that at any given moment, there are countless parallel realities available to you, each one vibrating at a different frequency. And through your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, you're constantly choosing which reality you step into. But here's the thing: most of us are choosing unconsciously. We're letting our old patterns, fears, and limiting beliefs dictate which reality we end up in. If you're not aware of the power of your choices, you might find yourself stuck in a reality that doesn't serve you simply because you're repeating the same old thoughts and behaviors. So, how do you start choosing your reality consciously? It begins with awareness of your thoughts. Every thought you think carries a vibration, and that vibration attracts a corresponding reality. If your mind is filled with thoughts of lack, fear, or self-doubt, you'll align with a reality that reflects those thoughts. But if you train your mind to focus on thoughts of abundance, love, and possibility, you'll naturally shift into a reality that mirrors those higher vibrations. Here's another powerful exercise. Start observing your thoughts throughout the day. Don't try to change them at first, just notice them. Are your thoughts generally positive or negative? Are you focused on what's possible or on what could go wrong? This simple act of observation is incredibly powerful because it brings your unconscious patterns into the light of awareness. And once you're aware of your thoughts, you can begin to choose which thoughts you want to entertain. And this leads to a profound question that I want you to reflect on. What reality are you creating with your thoughts right now? Because whether you realize it or not, your thoughts are shaping your experience in every moment. The more conscious you become of your mental patterns, the more power you have to shift into a reality that aligns with your highest potential. Finally, to master the art of parallel consciousness, you need to cultivate a deep sense of surrender. Now, I know this might sound counterintuitive. After all, we've been talking about becoming more aware and conscious of our choices. But here's the paradox. True mastery comes from letting go of the need to control everything. You see, parallel realities are infinite, and the path your soul is on is often beyond your human mind's comprehension. When you surrender to the flow of life, trusting that each shift is guiding you toward your highest growth, you open yourself up to experiences and realities that are far beyond what your mind can imagine. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of resistance and trusting the process. It means allowing the shifts to happen without trying to force them. When you surrender, you align with the natural flow of the universe, and you're guided to the reality that's most aligned with your soul's purpose. So here's the final question for this part. Can you trust the process of your life even when it doesn't make sense to your logical mind? Because the more you surrender, the more you allow the universe to guide you to the highest version of yourself in the parallel realities that await. Now that we've explored how to become aware of subtle shifts in your reality, let's focus on something even more empowering: how to consciously shift into the reality you desire. This is where the true mastery of parallel realities comes into play. When you realize that you're not just a passive observer of these shifts, but you have the ability to choose the reality you want to experience. And this is where your inner power awakens. The first step in consciously shifting to your desired reality is understanding that your personal vibration is everything. Think of your vibration as the frequency you're broadcasting to the universe. Every thought, emotion, and belief you hold is like a signal you're sending out, and the universe responds by matching you with a reality that resonates with that frequency. It's like tuning into a radio station. When you shift your frequency, you shift the station you're listening to, and in this case, the station is the reality you're living in. So the question becomes, what frequency are you broadcasting right now? Are you vibrating at the frequency of abundance, love, and possibility? Or are you tuned into the frequency of fear, lack, and doubt? This is something that requires deep self-reflection because most of us have unconscious patterns running in the background that keep us stuck on a low-frequency channel. But once you become aware of these patterns, you gain the power to consciously change the station. To raise your vibration and align with your desired reality, you need to embody the energy of that reality before it manifests. This is one of the most powerful spiritual truths. You must become the energetic match for what you want before it shows up in your external world. If you desire a reality where you're thriving, joyful, and abundant, then you need to start feeling and acting like the version of yourself who is already living in that reality. You can't wait for the external world to change first. You have to change from within. Here's a simple but powerful exercise. Visualize your desired reality in as much detail as possible. See yourself living in that reality. What does your day look like? How do you feel? What kinds of people are around you? What emotions are you experiencing? The key here is not just to visualize it as if it's in the future, but to feel it as if it's happening right now. When you do this consistently, you start vibrating at the frequency of that reality, and the universe has no choice but to match that frequency and bring it into your experience. But visualization alone isn't enough. You also need to take inspired action. This is where many people get stuck. They think that simply shifting their thoughts or meditating on a new reality is enough to make it happen. But the truth is, action is a crucial part of the equation. The universe responds to movement, and when you take action that's aligned with your desired reality, you signal that you're ready to receive it. This doesn't mean forcing or pushing things to happen, but rather tuning into your intuition and taking action that feels aligned with the energy of the reality you want to step into. So, ask yourself, what actions can you take today that are aligned with the version of yourself who is already living in your desired reality? Maybe it's something as simple as changing a habit, starting a new project, or even shifting the way you speak to yourself. Every action you take sends a signal to the universe about who you are and what reality you're ready to embody. And here's another powerful truth. The more you align with your desired reality, the more resistance you might face. This might sound counterintuitive, but as you raise your vibration and shift into a new reality, the old version of you, the one that's comfortable in its current state, may resist the change. This resistance can show up as fear, self-doubt, or external obstacles. But here's the thing, resistance is a sign that you are on the right path. It means you're stepping out of your comfort zone and into a new version of yourself. So, when resistance shows up, don't see it as a sign to stop. Instead, recognize it as a sign that you're in the process of shifting realities. The key is to move through the resistance, not around it. When you face the fear, doubts, or challenges head-on, you build the energetic strength needed to anchor yourself in your new reality. Finally, to consciously shift into your desired reality, you need to trust the timing of the universe. While you have the power to raise your vibration and take aligned action, you must also surrender to the divine timing of how and when your new reality will manifest. This requires a deep level of trust. Trust that the universe is always working in your favor, even when things don't seem to be happening as quickly as you'd like. Remember, the universe sees the bigger picture. Sometimes delays are there to help you grow or to align circumstances in a way that's even better than what you envisioned. So, here's the final question for this part. Can you trust that the universe is orchestrating everything for your highest good, even when you can't see the full plan? Because when you combine the power of conscious creation with the wisdom of surrender, you step into a flow of life where you're no longer chasing your desired reality, it begins to chase you. Now that we've explored how to consciously shift into your desired reality, the next step is learning how to anchor yourself in that new reality. You've done the work to raise your vibration, align with your desires, and take inspired action. But here's the truth, the shift doesn't end there. Once you've stepped into a new reality, the key to lasting transformation is sustaining that shift and continuing to evolve. You see, when you first shift into a new reality, it can feel like a breath of fresh air. There's a sense of excitement, of possibility, of newness. But after a while, the mind, particularly the ego, tends to pull you back into old patterns, old ways of thinking, and old habits. This is where many people fall back into their previous reality without even realizing it. So, how do you make sure that doesn't happen? How do you anchor yourself in your new reality so that it becomes your new normal? The first and most important step is consistency. Think of your new reality as a garden. You've planted the seeds by shifting your vibration and taking aligned action. But now, those seeds need nurturing. You need to water them, provide sunlight, and remove any weeds that might try to grow. In the context of your reality, this means consistently maintaining the thoughts, emotions, and actions that align with the frequency of your desired reality. Let's break this down. What does consistency look like in practice? It means practicing gratitude for your new reality every single day, even if you don't see the full manifestation of it yet. When you express gratitude for the reality you're stepping into, you reinforce that vibration and signal to the universe that you're committed. Gratitude is one of the most powerful vibrational tools available to you because it shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's already present. Here's a powerful exercise you can do. Every morning when you wake up, take 5 minutes to visualize your life in your new reality, and then express gratitude for it as if it's already happening. Feel the emotions of already living in that reality. When you do this consistently, you're not just imagining it, you're energetically anchoring yourself into that timeline. Over time, the external reality will catch up to your internal state. But consistency goes beyond just visualization and gratitude. It also means being mindful of your thoughts and behaviors, especially when challenges arise. Because here's the thing, even in your new reality, you'll still face challenges. Shifting into a higher reality doesn't mean eliminating all problems. It means you're now equipped to handle them from a higher level of consciousness. So when old patterns, fears, or doubts resurface, it's crucial to stay grounded and remind yourself that you're no longer operating from the old version of yourself. Ask yourself, how would the version of me in this new reality respond to this challenge? This question is key because it aligns your response with your new identity. The more you practice responding from your higher self, the more you solidify your place in this new reality. Every time you choose to respond from your new vibration instead of reacting from your old one, you're reinforcing the shift. And that brings us to an important point: your identity. One of the most powerful ways to anchor yourself in a new reality is to fully embody the identity of the version of yourself who lives in that reality. This means letting go of the old stories you tell about yourself, the limiting beliefs, and the outdated labels that no longer serve you. In a sense, you have to become the person who already has what you desire. Think about it. If you're shifting into a reality where you're more abundant, more confident, or more fulfilled, then you need to start thinking, feeling, and acting like that person right now. This is where embodiment comes in. It's not enough to visualize or affirm your new reality. You have to live it. How does the version of you in this new reality carry themselves? How do they speak? What do they believe about themselves and the world? Start acting like that version of you today, even in the small things. This is how you become the energy of your new reality. But here's where many people get stuck. They hold on to their old identity because it feels familiar, even if it's limiting. There's comfort in the known, even when it no longer serves you. So, here's a deep question to reflect on. What part of your old identity are you still holding on to? And is it preventing you from fully anchoring into your new reality? Sometimes the biggest obstacle to sustaining the shift is our attachment to who we used to be. Letting go of that old version of yourself is like shedding an old skin. It can feel uncomfortable, but it's necessary for your evolution. This brings us to the final aspect of anchoring into your new reality: continuous evolution. The truth is, your journey doesn't end once you've shifted into a new reality. In fact, it's just the beginning. Every new reality you step into is a stepping stone to an even higher version of yourself. The universe is constantly expanding, and so are you. This means that once you've anchored into your new reality, it's important to remain open to further growth. Don't get too comfortable in your new reality. Allow yourself to keep evolving. When you anchor into a new reality, you're not meant to stay there forever. As you continue to grow, you'll naturally shift into even higher versions of reality where new opportunities, experiences, and lessons await. This is the infinite nature of parallel realities. There's always more to explore, more to experience, and more of your potential to unlock. So, how do you sustain this continuous evolution? It comes down to curiosity and self-inquiry. Always ask yourself, what's the next level for me? What's the next reality I want to step into? When you stay curious about your own growth and remain committed to your spiritual evolution, you keep yourself open to the infinite possibilities that the universe has in store for you. Let me ask you this final question. What's the next version of your highest self that's waiting to emerge? And are you ready to step into it? Because once you anchor into one reality, The potential for even more expansion is always there, waiting for you to claim it.